שלום לכולם, אנחנו פעם ראשונה עושים פודקאסט פה של הסינפונייטה הישראלית באר שבע. אני יאיר, המנהל, ואני רוצה לראיין היום את המאסטרו שלנו, מאסטרו קונסטנטין אורבליאן, שהוא המנהל המוזיקלי של הסינפונייטה הישראלית באר שבע. וברשותכם, נעבור לאנגלית. Hello, Maestro Konstantin Orbelian, the musical manager of the Israeli Sinfonietta Beer Sheva.
Shalom.
So you're coming to us from?
Well, from a lot of different places, but most recently from New York.
From New York.
Yeah.
Over there, you are the musical manager and the CEO of the New York City Opera.
Yeah, so general director and music director.
And
Principal conductor.
Yes. And in Kaunas, Lithuania, you also the musical manager of the Philharmonic of Kaunas.
The Kaunas City Symphony Orchestra, and I am the principal conductor already for 15 years.
Wow. Yeah. So you've been around.
Yeah, and before that I did lots of other things.
So let us know what you have done
for heaven's
in
sakes.
your career. We don't have much time.
Yeah.
It's only a half an hour podcast, but try.
No, I was a pianist. I was born and raised in San Francisco and started my, pianistic studies there. And at age 11, I performed with the San Francisco Symphony and so on. And then I went to Juilliard and I studied with Nadia Reisenberg. I think many of the pianists of my generation would remember Nadia Reisenberg. She used to come every summer and she would teach at the Rubin Academy from New York. She was originally from Vilnius, and then she studied at the St. Petersburg Imperial Conservatory before the Revolution, and then ended up, after the Revolution, like many people coming to the United States. Anyway, so I studied with her and with another fantastic pianist named Nina Svetlanova, who also, I'm sure that some of our friends who were in Moscow or from the Soviet Union remember her as being one of the great pianist accompanists, and she worked with Bela Rudenko, the famous Ukrainian soprano, and Sara Dulukhanova, the famous Armenian soprano, and Galina Vishnevskaya, Rostropovich's wife. She worked with her quite a bit as well, and then she emigrated to the U.S., and so I ended up with this whole Russian background school of piano playing and music and everything else. And I was on a concert tour of the Soviet Union in 1989, and I performed there 25 concerts in the former Soviet Union, and then I came back in 1990, and I performed with the State Chamber Orchestra of the USSR, and their then conductor, Andrei Korsakov, who was a fantastic violinist, and 6 weeks later he died.
Wow.
And in late February of 1991, I was invited by the Ministry of Culture of the USSR and of Russia, because everything was changing, falling apart, to head the State Chamber Orchestra of the USSR. And so that was the beginning of my career in Russia. For 20 years, I was head of that orchestra. After that, I went to work in Kaunas. I became the principal conductor there. And then I became the general director of the Armenian State Opera House in Yerevan, Armenia in 2016. I was there until 2021. And then in 2021, I became the music director at City Opera in New York. And then I became the general director and the music director of City Opera in 2024. So that's where I am now. And then I'm here in Israel.
And in
Beer Sheva.
2024, we connected with
Yes.
you. It was great. So, when you speak about classical music, what is the thing that makes you fall in love in classical music?
Well, it's a kind of a long story. It's something that needs to be accessible to a child. So I was very lucky to be raised in a musical family. Not that any of my parents were musicians, but I have an older sister, an older brother, and they were taking piano lessons. So the teacher would come over, and so anyway, so there was that. I was accessed to music, and I seemed to love it, and I did a little bit better than my siblings. So my parents concentrated on my musical career. And of course, everything has to do with the parents. If the parents are engaged, the child's engaged. One of the things that I found always helped me was the fact that my mother always went to the piano lessons with me. And so she knew what was going on there at the lesson, and then I would be practicing at home, and she could always come and sit with me, and because it's quite boring for a child. I think people don't understand that you're being alone and being, sitting there with the music and trying to figure things out. But if somebody's with you, it's more fun.
Today it's more difficult for kids to connect to classical music.
I think it's more difficult for kids to concentrate. I think one of the most important things about being a musician and a pianist or a violinist or playing any instrument is the concentration that's involved in your progressing on that instrument. You really have to be very focused, and you have to love it, and you have to love the process of learning. And the only way to do that is by doing it. And, our attention span now is about minus anything. It's very sad because people's attention spans are, nowhere. And they want instant gratification, instantly to find out what's in the news, instantly this, instantly that, and to get answers instantly all the time. You have your phone, so somebody's looking for you, that you have to reply immediately. If you don't reply, then you're dead. And all this stuff. So it's really kind of crazy. Previously, when you were growing up, you're much younger than me, but our mothers knew which corner we were on. They knew where we were. There were no telephones. There were no telephones in our pockets, nothing like that. But somehow we all found each other. And somehow we all were able to communicate, and nobody was dropping dead because they weren't immediately found in 2 minutes. But somehow we've lost the connection with concentration, and I think it's very important that we bring children back into a life of when you actually have to study, and you do something, but you get that reward, and music is incredibly rewarding. If you do play something and you become very good in one piece and you bring it to a certain level, then every other piece comes up to that level. So it's just a matter of systematic concentration and work.
What did you find in the Israeli Sinfonietta of Beer Sheva? You conducted many orchestras and symphonic orchestra, philharmonic, big orchestras, and we are 30 musicians in Beer Sheva, in the southern part of Israel. And after now, we've done one season, and we are now looking at the second one. How do you see the musicians? Are they good? Can you compare it to other orchestras that you conducted?
Well, let me tell you, I've conducted many different orchestras, and I find there are a number of reasons why I came to Beer Sheva. First of all, I think that Beer Sheva is a great place. I love it here, and I have my friends at Ben Gurion University. I have my friends and colleagues at Soroka, at the hospital. It's always wonderful to see my friends, president of the university, the head of the hospital, coming to our concerts, and I respect everything that's going on here. I think it's a pretty amazing, vibrant place. And the orchestra, I think, has a focal point of, being here in the cultural life of the city. And I looked at this as an opportunity to bring my international, well-known musicians and stars from around the world who have never been to Israel, for them to have a chance and perform in Israel. That's where I've always been interested in doing that. When I lived in Moscow for 20 years, and I brought, loads of fantastic people to Russia, and then I became the music director in Armenia, and I brought fantastic artists like Dmitry Khvorostovsky and Renee Fleming, and we all performed, and they had never performed there, and if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't come there. Wow. In Lithuania also, we did a couple of years ago concerts with Renee Fleming and all these great people, and 7,000 seat auditoriums and 15,000 seat arenas, and we sell out because and people want to come to places they've never been. It's harder to bring one of these stars to Paris or London because they go there all the time and they're already booked. So these are kind of offbeat places where they would love to come. And I'm enjoying showing them this beautiful country and the beautiful people here. And, of course, making a special trip to Jerusalem. Very important.
Of course. So your experience and your wonderful career came with this orchestra and then created this season. I want to know, and maybe our viewers would want to know, how do you choose? How do you combine? What makes you pick up this piece and put this together? How do you do that? The managing the music, the musical manager.
Yeah.
So
experience. Experience is everything. I've made my mistakes in my life, my musical mistakes or not planning things properly. Always plan a program where you leave people a little bit hungry. I think that's very important. You don't want to have people looking at their watches. When is this going to be over? So you want to leave people a little bit hungry. You want to give people the opportunity to enjoy and savor what you've done, and you want them to leave the concert hall looking at the date of the next concert and making sure they don't miss it. That's why I find programming extremely important, and the architectural balance of a program. Very important. So I feel that's one of the things that I do kind of well, And as you may notice in our programs, I have a lot of singers. I love to have singers in the program. So I think that's a very important aspect because nothing touches the heart like a voice. And I feel that's a very important aspect. And of course you can sing in various different languages. And so, we're doing, programs with Italian arias, with Russian arias. Next season we've got a whole Russian program. Now we have a Ukrainian program. Tomorrow we have something else. We've got, but you find all kinds of various things to be able to do. And at the same time, I was a pianist, so I love pianists. So I brought some incredible pianists this year.
By the way, from the sales, I can tell you our audience loves also pianists. So we have many piano next year.
Yeah, no, the repertoire is fantastic. The music is great. We did the Rachmaninoff first piano concerto last season with Yevgeny Brachman. We're going to do the Grieg piano concerto with him in the future. We bring in Guy Mintus. We had Guy Mintus with his jazz program.
He's
so
great.
I'm not
wonderful.
I'm not just a one line personality. I love jazz. I love popular music. I love songs. I love Broadway. We're bringing this program, Opera Goes to Hollywood. We're bringing that to Beer Sheva, like I'm taking that around the world with New York City Opera. And we hope to do a lot of very interesting things.
That's great. By the way, this year is 250 years for United States independence, and you're from the United States. So this year we are doing the American Ball, like we've done the Vienna Ball, but this year is the American Ball. Tell me a little bit about the program over there.
Yeah, so we're going to do the most popular scenes and arias and songs from West Side Story and Candide and Bernstein and Broadway musicals and things like that. I'm doing a similar program in Lithuania on the 22nd of August. I'm taking that program to Bangkok. Opera Goes to Hollywood, for instance, on the 5th of September.
And we'll have dancers over there also.
And we have dancers. We had dancers with our Viennese Ball program, which was fantastic. The wonderful choreographer.
Chaim Feuerstein.
He was fantastic. We had such a good time with him. And the kids were fantastic. Everybody fell in love with those kids. And, they were just great. I mean, it was loads of fun. And that's what's great.
I want to talk about Christina Raiko Cooper, the cellist. and you have a very special program. It's the first one in the classical series, Magical Prague. And there is a movie that you're connected to that won a prize in the Cannes Festival.
That's right. So
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The amazing cellist, Christina Reiko Cooper, that I've been working with for a number of years. She happens to live in Tel Aviv. I'm sure many of our fans here know that because she's a fantastic, fantastic cellist, a great musician and a great artist. And we met by doing a piece by the famous composer Lera Auerbach. We met in Kaunas in Lithuania, actually, to do the world premiere of a symphony called the Vessels of Light, commemorating Chione Sugihara, the Japanese man who issued 6,000 visas in 1940 to Polish Jews. Yeah. And they were able to escape. And so the whole story happened because Len Rosen, her husband, his father was one of those people who got that visa. Wow. And she's Japanese. So here you have this half Japanese, but nevertheless Japanese. And so now you have, we performed this piece. We did it in New York. We did it in California. We did it in Mexico City twice and sold out concert halls in Mexico City and the singing was in Yiddish. There was a symphony with chorus and all performing in Yiddish and four vocal soloists. Wow. And 2 whispers and of course cello soloist. So then we did another program recording the cello concerti of Weinberg and Korngold. Yeah. And so my idea was to bring these 2 composers and to show the story of the Red Army that saved Weinberg. His whole family was annihilated by the Nazis. He was saved by the Red Army, taken to Tashkent, and from Tashkent ended up at the Moscow Conservatory. The reason he went to Tashkent was the Red Army took him there because the Moscow Conservatory was in exile in Tashkent during World War II. And Korngold had received one of those coveted American visas and was able to go to the United States. Anyway, they both became famous film composers. So that's one of the major aspects of the film. And so what was started out as a 5-minute teaser for the CD release became a full-fledged documentary on these 2 great composers and the connection. And so then we started to submit them to various film festivals, and we've already gotten like 10 different awards. Best documentary, best historical documentary, and now we're going to be in the LA Film Festival at the Da Vinci Festival in Los Angeles at the end of September. Then we're going to be in Vienna. I mean, we've been all over the place. I was at Hamburg at the Jewish Film Festival in Hamburg, so I was there. So we had wonderful Q&R sessions afterwards, and it's a very wonderful film. We did it in New York. We also had a wonderful Q&R in New York at the Directors Film Theater on 57th Street. So that was just last month, sometime in May. And it was sold out, and people loved it, and people cried, and it's a very touching, moving story. It's great.
Wow. And we're going to see some parts of it?
Oh, definitely we're going to see parts of it here.
In the first program?
Yes. And we will continue doing these types of programs that will highlight these Jewish composers from various parts of the world. Wow. Who people need to know about more. Everybody knows about Korngold as being a fantastic film composer because he received Oscars for that. Weinberg also everybody knows because he was a famous film composer. He also wrote operas, as did Korngold. He also wrote, other concerti for various instruments, like did Korngold. But the bulk of their success in their lives was film music.
Wow.
So we take the excerpts from these films and we perform them. So it's great.
That's great. So we're looking up for this next season with you as our musical manager and our maestro. And I would like to thank you for coming to this podcast and for very good music up ahead. I wish you good health.
Thank you.
We'll see you at the concert hall.
That's right.
Right after this podcast, we go to...
That's right. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.